Hello everybody, and now this is another one. Buddha's reign has struck again. But Buddha is always meaning good, and there are a few names here that people might get a bit offended. Don't get offended, this has nothing to do, I'm not after anyone. Anyway, read it. You see, back in 2003, a year after the kidnapping of Daniel Morecambe, Canberra had a terrible bushfires in the south, and I don't know if Daniel was dead then, but it makes sense if he was, because his ghost was haunting our city to get revenge on the world he once lived in, even if his kidnapper wasn't from there. Daniel didn't care. He came to Canberra as his ghost to take revenge on the world for his tragic taking in 2002. Since then, Buddha has been putting on the news stuff to try and find out who's to blame, and that went on for years and years, and everyone I know was talking about it. And lately, my previous life, who was Graham Thorne, joined forces with him, and together we had fun. And one of my Vinnie's bosses, named Claire, and a grandson named Brendan, who was later that year, and while I played Santa, every kid was normal, except for Brendan, who told me that I wasn't the real Santa. And he said it in a way that we share a special bond with each other. And I think that it could be the fact that our last lives were kidnapped out of the world. I played Santa from 2001 to 2011, and despite the fact that Brendan was skeptical about me being the real Santa, he was actually telling me that our last lives are having fun, making sure our new lives don't run into any trouble. And it became fun for Brian and Brendan as Graham Thorne and Daniel Morecambe were taking out revenge on the world for kicking them out of it. It went on for years, and Brian started to have things go well for him and said that 2011 is the last year he'll play Santa. And karma went completely haywire because Daniel Morecambe wanted to keep playing with Graham Thorne, but Graham wanted to have a good life, and after Brian told Daniel to do the same because you might give Brendan mental problems, so you must smarten up your act. And Daniel didn't want to, and made Brendan's mum and dad separate. And when Claire and Brian asked Brian, why don't you want to be Santa anymore, Brian had to say, it's about time I stopped. I did it for 10 years. Daniel forces Brendan to like Ben 10 to get Brendan to be as normal as he can get. And then on January 8, 2013, there was some fires in Bungendore, which was the reign of Buddha, making terrible bushfires, which was Daniel Morecambe trying to scare the residents of their homes and force Brendan to be a normal kid. And Graham dropped a firebomb to say, you can't kidnap the present life fella. And to make matters worse, I think, Paul Baringi's next life is also causing havoc, lighting fires in Australia at the moment. Buddha wishes that Paul would smarten up his act before he died in that car accident. It's a year that is making my last life suddenly want revenge on a world that we spent not making much time in. So he made his next life listen to good advice, because we really want you to save the world. And I don't know, well, we're really going through a lot of problems here. Saving the world is hard to save the world with one person. You've got to save the world with another person. You've got to get everybody in together to save the world. And even if, they might have been names from the past, but the person is dead, and we should be sort of able to keep pretend that just it was all a big dream, and then it's not easy to say that, though. I know a lot of people have a lot of problems. I know I'm not like Kyle Sanders. I'm not going to say that they're evil people. I think that though Daniel Morecambe was a poor little kid, why would they want to do it to him? Why didn't they do it to tough dudes? Why don't they go up and try to, take on someone bigger? Just a little kid waiting for his little presents, you know. I was playing Santa, and there's no way in the world I'm going to muck around in Yeah Man to those pedophiles. Is what was going on in my mind at that time. I played Santa. He got kidnapped on the way too. There was some sign in that as well, but, you know, really hard. Okay, well, thanks very much. Okay, see ya.